Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a good evening. Welcome to Primetime Asia. Tonight we provide the viewers with the latest items on political, socio-economic and cultural news all around the Asia-Pacific nations. These include the World Conference on Climate Change in Peru, where they're still negotiating on a brand new global framework to combat greenhouse gas emissions. Meanwhile, Iran and Russia have teamed up to fight against narcotics in both countries, while Bangladesh and Bhutan sign up to boost trade and bilateral relations between the two countries. The segment also includes the latest satellite technological achievements by India and China, as well as North Korea. Here is Henry Ramanier for the reports.
A ministerial meeting of the UN Conference on Climate Change is currently being held in Lima, Peru, where industrialized and developing nations remain divided on a number of key issues. Countries at the 20th session of the Conference of the Parties, or COP20, are negotiating a new global framework to combat greenhouse gas emissions. The new treaty is intended to replace the Kyoto Protocol as from 2020. The UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon delivered an address at the opening session. Ban called on all countries to be part of the solution and all of society to be engaged. He said this is not a time for tinkering but a time for transformation. Delegates to the meeting are divided on whether the developed countries should include financial support for developing nations in their emission targets. Countries are being asked to submit their targets by the end of March 2015 at the earliest. The US and China, the world's two largest emitters, outlined their goals last month in an apparent move to tackle a leadership role in setting a new framework. Japan has delayed putting its target on the table because it has been unable to settle on a plan due to the effects of the Fukushima nuclear accident in 2011.
Iran
and Russia have signed two documents on the fight against narcotics during a two-day visit by Iran's Interior Minister Abdul Reza Rahmani Fazli to Moscow to discuss anti-drugs campaign with top Russian officials. The agreements were signed following a meeting between the Iranian minister and the head of the Russian Federal Drug Control Service, Mr. Viktor Ivanov. During the talks, Rahmani Fazli urged more bilateral cooperation between Tehran and Moscow on anti-narcotics efforts in order to convince the international community to take more serious steps against this problem. According to the document, Iran and Russia pledged to establish mechanisms from 2015 to 2018 to exchange operational intelligence about poppy cultivation and drug production centers. The document also stipulates the exchange of information on the transit of narcotics from Afghanistan through the Caspian Sea. Iran has a 900-kilometer border with Afghanistan, where narcotics production is very high. Smugglers have sought to use Iran as a main route to transfer drugs to Europe.
آقای رحمانی فضلی وزیر کشور امروز در دیدار با آقای ایوانوف رئیس سرویس کنترل گردش مواد مخدر روسیه همچنین با اشاره به تلاش‌های جمهوری اسلامی ایران در مبارزه با قاچاق مواد مخدر و مقابله با اعتیاد نبود اراده جدی در بین کشورهای غربی.
Bangladesh and Bhutan have signed two agreements for boosting trade and bilateral relations. The deals were signed following bilateral talks between the two countries at the Prime Minister's office in the capital, Dhaka. Visiting Bhutanese Prime Minister Shering Tobgay and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina led their respective sides at the talks. The two deals are agreement on trade between Bangladesh and Bhutan and agreement on allotment of lands in Barithara diplomatic enclave in Dhaka to Bhutan for construction of its embassy. A protocol relating to the trade agreement was also signed between the two countries. Minister of Economic Affairs of Bhutan, Norbu Wangchuk, and Commerce Minister of Bangladesh, Tofail Ahmad, signed the agreement on trade and related protocol. Meanwhile, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Bhutan, Rinzin Dorje, and Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Mahmood Ali, signed the agreement on land allotment. Prime Ministers of the two countries witnessed the signing of these agreements. The two countries also agreed to sign a preferential trade agreement or PTA. Under the new agreement, Bangladesh will allow duty-free access to Bhutanese export items as much as possible, including the boulder for construction of the Padma Bridge. Both prime ministers agreed to do anything required for enhancing bilateral trade between the two countries. Security was tight in Busan this week at the ASEAN Republic of Korea Commemorative Summit aimed at boosting strategic partnership between the countries. Police checkpoints were set up around the Busan Exhibition and Convention Center, BEXCO, to check vehicles entering the vehicle compound. And security was also tight around the Westin Chusan Hotel, where South Korean President Park Geun-hye will hold bilateral meetings with leaders from Southeast Asian countries on the sidelines of the ASEAN-Korea Summit. The meeting marks the 25th anniversary of the establishment of the relationship. ASEAN is South Korea's second largest trade partner, with two-way trade amounting to $135 billion last year. The latest on the predicament of political unrest in Hong Kong. Prominent teenage leaders of Hong Kong's pro-democracy protests have ended their hunger strikes after a few days. Joshua Wong, who ended his hunger strike after almost 5 days, in a statement said the involved students in the protest do not demand the government accept their requests for universal suffrage, but asked for the officials to meet the students to conduct effective dialogue to narrow the differences and stop the splits in society. Another prominent protest leader, a 17-year-old Prince Wong, also ended her hunger strike after 118 hours on the advice of doctors after being taken to hospital. A third member pulled out earlier in the week, while two others who joined the strike later are still refusing food. Meanwhile, new cases of H7N9 bird flu have been reported across the border in China. One of them involved a Guangdong man who died last week. The 66-year-old man died in the city of Meizhou in eastern Guangdong province. Authorities tested him for the H7N9 virus, and the result came back positive. And that's the second human H7N9 case in Guangdong this winter. And in Hong Kong, the Center for Health Protection said it is also closely monitoring a case in Shanghai. Authorities say a man tested positive for the virus yesterday, and he is now being isolated and treated in hospital. Hong Kong Secretary for Food and Health, Koo Wing Man, pointed out that the two cases of H7N9 in Guangdong shows that the virus is edging closer to Hong Kong. He said local authorities will be looking into whether extra measures need to be taken to prevent the virus from spreading.
And this week's Primetime Asia also shares other interesting features, and these include development in space exploration and satellite technology development undertaken by India, China and North Korea. And also in our lineup tonight is the latest influx of Thai tourists to South Korea and news of American telecommunication giants Apple to set up its Asian biggest research and development center in Japan. Stay tuned for more reports.
India's latest communication satellite, GSAT-16, has been placed in orbit by Ariane 5 rocket, which was blasted off from the space center of Kourou in French Guiana. The European launcher blasted off at 2:10 a.m. and hurled the GSAT-16 into space in a flawless flight. Ariane 5 also launched Indian satellite's co-passenger DirecTV-14, aimed at providing direct-to-home television broadcasts across the US. The satellite launch was originally scheduled for Friday, but was put off twice due to bad weather. GSAT-16, with a designated on-orbit operational life of 12 years, will boost public and private TV and radio services, large-scale internet and telephone operations. It will replace INSAT-3E, decommissioned prematurely in April.
Le lanceur éjecte des gaz vers l'arrière et se propulse par réaction vers l'avant. Vous le savez, la propulsion par réaction dépend de deux choses.
Meanwhile, China launched the jointly developed China-Brazil Earth Resources Satellite 4 from the Taiwan base in North China's Jiangxi province. The rocket blasted carried the Earth Resources Satellite into its scheduled orbit, according to the Taiwan Satellite Launch Center. The China-Brazil Earth Resources Satellite 4 program aims to monitor, plan and manage land, forestry, water conservancy, agriculture and environmental protection. North Korea recently held a seminar on space science at Kim Il-sung University in Pyongyang. In a video provided to news agencies by North Korea's state news agency KCNA, which cannot be independently verified, it showed North Korean scientists attending the seminar. The agency said the seminar is aimed at exposing the space technology, including making and launching a Korea rocket and satellite. North Korea is banned from developing nuclear and missile-related technology under UN resolutions. And despite the ban, North Korea had launched a long-range rocket in 2012 and had successfully put a satellite into orbit. Also related to space knowledge, a modernized planetarium has been reopened in Colombo, Sri Lanka. The new facilities has modern digital technology, the latest in the world of planetariums display. Head of the planetarium said that this will help visitors in the study of various aspects of the universe. Facilities to view the sky, which can be seen from anywhere in the world on any day, are also provided at the facility. The 570-seat planetarium was declared open by Professor P.W. Espasinge. It is open to the public from December the 9th. The Thai public are now choosing South Korea as their top travel destination. The number of Thai tourists to Korea is expected to set a record this year. This month, it has seen a surge in the number of group tours, leaving no room for individual travelers. Tour packages are all booked through February next year as corporations pay more generous bonuses to their employees these days in the form of trips overseas. The reason lies in the popularity of South Korea among Thai tourists, as has been shown by the results of a poll conducted by an internationally renowned travel magazine. The Thai tourism sector says tourism in Korea has recently slowed down on the Japanese currency's depreciation, but it's likely to regain vitality by the end of the year. As more and more tourists choose Korea as their destination, the number of Thai tourists to the country is expected to reach 450,000, a record-breaking figure. The increase stems from the booming sales of cheap tour packages, largely thanks to the economic recovery and new flights operated by budget airlines. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says U.S. technology giant Apple will set up a research and development center in Japan that will be one of the largest in Asia. The Prime Minister said Apple has decided to carry out research and development in Japan and that he believes the firm will soon make a formal announcement. Mr. Abe said Apple's establishment of the R&D center is a first step and a big change towards increasing investments in the country. In a statement, Apple said a technical development center to be built in Yokohama will further expand its business in Japan. On the weather front, heavy snowfall has blanketed wide areas of Japan. Weather officials are warning of possible avalanches and disruptions to traffic and public transportation. People in nearly 200 households in Tokushima Prefecture have been stranded due to snow blocking the roads. Self-defense force personnel are clearing fallen trees from the roads. And more than 1,400 households in the prefecture spent Saturday night without electricity. Finally tonight, China's Chinmay Long Safari Park in southern Guangzhou city has released a video showing the world's only surviving giant panda triplets meeting their mother for the first time since they were born on July 29, 2014. The trio are in good, stable condition with the average weight exceeding 8 kilograms and are strong enough to meet their mother, Zhu Xiao. As the cubs are the world's first surviving panda triplets, park authorities are in uncharted territory. In all previous instances of triple births, at least one of the triplets died from their mother's callousness or malnutrition. On November the 21st, the park began to help Zhu Xiao to feed two of her triplet cubs, which proved a success. The park authorities said more time will be provided to Zhu Xiao each day to stay with her babies in a bid to help the cubs to learn the survival skills from their mother as soon as possible.
猫和它完全小猫可以从妈妈身上学它的一切行为，有利于大猫和小猫的健康。
And that concludes this week's edition of Primetime Asia. Until we meet again with more interesting news next week. To watch more on Primetime Asia portal video, you can visit our website. It's www.rtbnews.rtb.gov.bn. Until then, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wishing you all a very pleasant week ahead and good night.